Hi guys, and welcome to the Max BB podcast. I hope you're all still enjoying the podcast and you're not sick of me yet. But just in case you fancy hearing a different voice, I have a special guest on today's pod. Welcome to Sheffield Wednesday's star writer Joe Cram. Really pleased to have you on the pod, and thanks again, Joe, for coming on.
It's a pleasure, mate. You're giving me too much of a nice intro there, though. I'm just a guest. A special is a little bit too nice for me, I think.
Well, you know, you're a brilliant journalist, so we've got to give that introduction, mate. So, how are you? You all right? How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm good. So, obviously, a tough time of year now. Obviously, transfer window, so kind of constantly on the phone. WhatsApp's blowing up, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a really interesting time of year, this, because you start to get in sort of an inclination as to how the team might set up. Obviously, we've got pre-season started in a week as well. So, yeah. Everybody else gets a break, but the journalists don't get a break at this time of year. This is as busy as it gets for us.
Yeah, yeah, very good. So what have you been up to this last week then?
Yeah, so we're obviously myself and Alex. You know, we're just kind of constantly on the phone. I think he's probably sick of me as well, because I spend all my time calling him to. You know, we'd obviously bounce ideas off each other and that kind of stuff. But yeah, the last kind of week, it's been a bit strange, because there's a lot of the players, a lot of the people involved in these deals have been on holiday, they've been away, and because of the World Cup coming up this year, things have been shifted around a little bit. So we've got pre-season started in sort of the 20th of June, but then a lot of the players' contracts, you know, the free agents that they are looking at, for instance, their contracts are only expiring at the end of this month. So you've got this sort of weird couple of weeks where you've still got people on holiday, but also the teams are trying to get things done as well. So I know that Darren Moore and his recruitment team have been very, very hard at work. But it's still early stages for quite a lot of bits. We had a few bits and bats last week, but you know, I think that the real hard work's going to start now.
Yeah, definitely with some of the Mullins, what we've been hearing. So I'll ask you a few questions if you don't mind. So the first one is, and this is one I like to ask everyone what comes on. So what did you want to be when you were at school?
I'm actually really lucky. Obviously I want to be a footballer. You know, we all do, don't we?
We all do.
I realised early doors. I was probably maybe 13 or 14 when I realised I wasn't going to be good enough to play at a decent level. So I kind of sort of, you know, at that point I was just like, well, what's the best way for me to get into the game without actually playing it? And you know, the written word was something that always came quite easily to me. You know, English was always something I was relatively good at. I'd like to think so anyway, given what I do for a living. But yeah, for me, it was always a case of, you know, the dream job when I knew I wasn't going to be able to play was to be able to, I suppose, watch football and write about it. And, you know, I've been very, very lucky, you know, a lot of hard work over the years, but, you know, I'm very, 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 very grateful to do what I do. And now obviously I get to do it covering my football team as well, which is an extra bonus.
Yeah. Brill, so that really ties into this next one. So when did your interest in sports journalism start?
So yeah, probably like I say, when I was about 13 or 14, I have to clear up that it's Alex is a sports journalist because he can write about other sports. I'm a football journalist because I know nothing about anything else really. No, jokes aside, like it was always football for me. You know, it was never about being a sports journalist. I always wanted to be a football writer. You know, that was always part of the plan. And then, you know, everything that I did sort of I mean, I remember, you'll be way too young to remember, but I remember interviewing Richard Wood. I think I must have been about 12 or 13. It was part of like a school project that I did. So yeah, seeing Richard Wood in the tunnel the other week when we played Rotherham was a little bit strange for me. But yeah, I've known for a long time this is what I want to do, and I suppose the interest in football journalism really came around like when I realised it was a genuine option for me. That was probably about 14 or 15, I think.
Yeah. I mean, once you sort of like a latch onto something, you can't really come away from it in a sense, can you? You've got to really just stick at it and then work hard and then look where you are now.
No, absolutely. I think that's part of it. You know, I think there's certain industries where it is just perseverance, really. You just got to keep pushing and wait for that gap, find that niche. And, you know, that's very difficult to do in football sometimes because there are so many people that want to do it. But like you say, you've got to be like a dog with a bone with it a lot of the time. You just got to, you know, pick it up and keep pushing and hopefully things work out in the end. And yeah, like I say, I'm very, very lucky now to be covering Wednesday, and hopefully I get to see a promotion at some point as well, because last season wasn't much fun at all. Sorry, no, the season before last season was quite good. The season before last was not much fun at all.
Yeah, less than about that season, the better, eh? So moving on, what was it like covering South African football then?
South African football was really interesting. It was, in many ways, it was like learning a whole new language because, you know, I moved over there when I was 21. So, you know, I obviously knew a few bits about South African football, but I would certainly not consider myself an expert. So I went over there and I had to learn about the teams, learn about the league, learn about the different players. Obviously, lots of different languages over there as well. They got 11 official languages in South Africa. So different players speak different languages. You know, they come from different cultures, different backgrounds. So it was a real experience. And I like to think that my time over there played a big part in sort of the personality I am now. I like to think that I'm quite worldly in a sense of, you know, being quite open to different sorts of, you know, ideas and that kind of thing. And I think that in the UK, sometimes we live quite a sheltered life. So to go over there and spend 10 years living in South Africa was, it was a really interesting period in my life. And I met my fiance over there as well. So in that sense, it turned out quite well.
Yeah, it certainly it would have been brilliant. So can you remember your first ever Wednesday game then?
So apparently, it is true because my granddad wouldn't lie to me. But I went to my first game in about 1994, I think it was. But the first game I remember was about, I think, 97. It was Sheffield Wednesday against Leeds. My one granddad was a Wednesday fan. My other granddad was a Leeds fan, so I went with the both of them. And my dad's a Wednesday. You know, he's the reason I support who I do. But yeah, that was first game back when we were good. You know, back when we were in the Premier League and stuff. Again, something you won't remember. Well,
no, exactly. To be honest with you, hopefully 10 years, but you're starting to think, you know, will it ever happen in your lifetime? But we're just gonna hope that it does really, and just and give it 10 years max, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be there.
Oh yeah, we can hope, mate. We can hope, because it's been a long old road, this.
No, God. Yeah. But so what's your thoughts on Wednesday for this coming season?
I think it's tough to make too many sort of judgment calls now, given the amount of new players that need to come in. Obviously 10 left already, potentially more if new contracts don't get signed as well. So, I think you've got to temper your expectations a little bit in terms of what comes in. What I do think Wednesday have got a good nucleus there, and I think it would be a real shame if they weren't pushing for those top two places. I think that with the transfer restrictions gone now, they don't have that looming over them. Darren's got a full pre-season. They don't have to sort of worry about these embargoes and players coming in late. They can get their work done early. And I would like to think that top two is a real option for Wednesday next season with the players they've got, with the facilities they've got, all that kind of stuff. Obviously the crowd at Hillsborough play a massive part in everything that they do. And I would like to think that top two is really, really achievable this season. But you've got to wait and see what happens because this transfer window still got a long way to go. Players coming in, potential exits as well. It doesn't sound like there's anyone on the cards. There was the talk of Josh Windass leaving at one point. Sounds like that's gone a little bit quiet now. But if Wednesday can keep hold of what they've got and add to it, then I think Wednesday have got a really good chance next season.
Yeah. Same. I do agree with you on that one. I think at top two, realistically, we should be aiming for. So,
absolutely.
So, moving on. What do you think we need to make sure we finish in the top two next season?
Yeah, I mean, if I knew that, then I might be having Darren's job rather than this one. But no, I think from a Wednesday perspective, there's a couple of sort of key positions they need to fix, and I think for me the main one is the centre back. They obviously had a lot of players leave. They looked a lot stronger towards the end of last season with Harley Dean, with Jordan Story, but obviously they're not our players, and they've gone back to their clubs now. I know they'd love to get Harley Dean back if they can. It's something that they're probably still working on. Ben Hennigan from AFC Wimbledon, he's probably going to come in by the looks of it. Never say definite on these things until it's done. But I heard this week that he's sort of agreed personal terms, and that should happen if all things go well. But I still think after Hennigan, you're still looking at another couple of centre backs, and I think that's the key position. Wednesday. Yeah. It was something that Wednesday really struggled with last season, that kind of consistency in the back three. Would like to think we'll see more of Dominic Iorfa this season. I've seen he's working really hard in the pre-season now, doing some work before he goes back on June 20th. A fully fit Dominic Iorfa in League One is a bit of a cheat code, really, given how good he is. So, you hope to see a lot more of him next season. But I think that is, like I say, for me, that centre-back position is key. If Massimo Luongo leaves, then they need to fill that gap. But like I say, I just think they've got a strong nucleus of a side there. And I also look at the sort of the players that are coming through, and we're going to see more of Fasai Deli Bashiru. We're going to see more of a Dennis Adeniran. Lee Gregory, was great last season. I think we'll see more of that with him this coming season as well. And it's just about getting the balance right, I suppose. Wednesday need to bring the average age down from last season, but they also don't want to just, sign a load of kids and hope for the best. You've got to try and get the mix there. And I think that's going to be key for Darren this summer is getting that mix. You've seen Wednesday link with sort of David Stockdale, who's a 36-year-old goalkeeper, and then also Elliot Anderson at Newcastle, who's 19. So I think that's where they need to get it right, and getting that balance will be key for Darren. And the interesting thing as well is what sort of formation he wants to use, because that sort of decides what kind of players are being brought in as well. If he wants to play 4-2-3-1, you need to sign a couple more wingers. But if he's going to stick to that 3-5-2, then the wing backs they have a different skill set.
Yeah, very much so. So, what's it like covering it Wednesday on the transfer deadline day?
It depends on the season. We've had a couple of really quiet ones. Obviously, since I've been here, this is the first Wednesday transfer window I've covered when they can actually spend a bit of money. Before it's been free agents and loans and things like that. So I've not really had the proper deadline day experience because it's been dead quiet really. There's been a couple of deals done. I think the January transfer window deadline they signed. I can't remember if they signed anyone last January. Obviously, this transfer window was another quiet one, and deadline day is weird because it's meant to be really manic, and you kind of wake up and you've got all these things you're looking into. But like I say, from a Wednesday perspective, it's not really been that busy. I think that might change this year because they've got a little bit more wiggle room with what they want to do and how they want to do it. But that being said, Darren wants to get his work done early as well. So I'm sure if it was up to him, he'd be signing nobody on deadline day because he wants to get it done before that.
Of course, yeah. Get work done early and stop being proactively. So, what do you think of the current rumours about what Wednesday would possibly be signing in Ben Hennigan on a free and David Stockdale from Wickham?
Yeah, I think they're both, they're both really solid League One signings. David Stockdale had a very good season with Wickham last season, kept a lot of clean sheets. Ben Hennigan does all the things you want from a centre-back, really. I think he was third in the league in terms of centre-backs where it comes to aerial duels, won most clearances in the league. And these are the kind of players you need at League One level. I think Wednesday are going to be, as I mentioned before, I do think they're going to be signing a lot of different types of players from a lot of different age groups because they're going to want to cover the bases and get that balance. But you look at someone like David Stockdale, he's got bags of experience. The interesting thing for me with Stockdale is what it means for Cam Dawson. Obviously Cam's coming back. He's had a really good season at Exeter. I can't imagine that Cam or David Stockdale are wanting to come and sit on a bench. So if the Stockdale thing does get done, Alex did a story today saying that he's agreed personal terms. So that looks like it's probably a goer as well. If he does come in, and I think a conversation's got to be had with Cam and again, like I say, it just feels like a really solid signing. Wednesday they conceded so many goals from set pieces last season, and Hennigan's the sort of player that can come in and sort of fix that. I think he looks like a direct replacement for Shea Dunkley. If Shea had his injury problems, Hennigan doesn't tend to get injured. I won't talk about that too much because every time I talk about players not getting injured, they tend to get injured. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
So I want you to write down who you think the all win the World Cup this year. I'll add you to the other guests' predictions, and once it's served out, I'll announce the winner. So we're bragging rights, so there'll be no prizes for it.
That's all it takes. It's all about pride, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about pride and maybe knowledge as well.
Yeah. For me, do you want me to say my prediction for the World Cup, or do you just want me to write it down and send it to
you? Yeah, please. If you can say that could. Oh yeah. Can you send it to my mom and then?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
That's it. Great. So moving on, what other sports are you into?
I like watching a lot of sports. There's lots of sports that I have a lot of respect for. It's for me, I was fine with sports. I like watching highlights because I'm not interested enough in a lot of other sports to sit through entire games. I am a big basketball fan. I go to NBA games every time I go over to the States. I go there quite a lot with my fiance. I've been to various NBA games there, and it's a sport I played a bit of when I was younger as well, until I realised I was a short arse and was not going to ever be tall enough to play basketball. Yeah. I like watching other sports, but with me and other sports, a lot of the time it's about watching it live. You know, like I don't consider myself to be a big cricket fan, but I really like going to watch cricket live. I think it's just a really good atmosphere, good vibe there. Yeah, I've dedicated my entire life to this football sport, and never really had time for much else.
Yeah, for the only way. So what about So what about music? What any favourite band you want to share with us?
I'm going to give you the most basic Sheffield answer possible. Arctic Monkeys are my favourite band ever. Obviously, the Sheffield link plays a part in it, but just Alex Turner's an absolute genius of our generation. But yeah, I've got a very eclectic music taste. I've been to see some really obscure people live over the years. Remember going to see Steps when I was younger, and been to see Elton John, and I'm a big Bring Me the Horizon fan now, which is a slightly different genre of music to Steps. But yeah, indie music was what I grew up on. So, like I say, Alex Turner with the Arctic Monkeys, was a big Oasis fan, as most people of my generation were at some point. But yeah, like I say, quite eclectic music taste. If it sounds good to my ears, I'll listen to it. I'm not particularly picky with that.
Yeah, same here. I love music. We went to see LP last night. She's I've actually just brought her top from her concert.
Looks good, that.
Yeah, Rich. We went to Leeds to see her. She was just amazing. She was brilliant. She was really good. So, have you ever been to Tramlines?
Yes, I have. So, Tramlines last year was my first big Tramlines, because I was obviously in South Africa for a long time. I remember going to the first Tramlines when it was in, it's just off on Devi Green. It was a little thing with, they took over Division Street, and it was this little Sheffield thing that nobody seemed to know about, and now it's just massive. That was lovely, but going to Tramlines last year, after the couple of years we'd had, with COVID and not seeing live music and not seeing people, I actually found it really emotional. It was going and listening to live music again and being around people. I found Tramlines last year was just unbelievable. The atmosphere was great. The people were lovely as well. It was almost like everyone had this sort of unwritten agreement that we've had a horrible couple of years. Can everyone just be sound? It was just really nice. I had a great time last year. The weather was good enough. It wasn't blazing hot, but it was good enough. But yeah, Tramlines is great. I'm looking forward to going again this year. Are you going to go through this year?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm going. I go nearly every year. I go. It's brilliant. Love it. Love it listening to the Everly Pregnant Brothers are my favourite.
They're good blokes then.
Oh, class. Honestly, Joe, amazing. So, do you need an assistant as well to go with you for this year?
No, I'll be all right, I think. But no, with Tramlines, I'm very much off the books. Then there's no work involved for me. Have a couple of beers and enjoy the sunshine.
Oh yeah, just no, can't beat it. But if you're a change of hand, just let me know. I'll always be there.
You'll be the first name on my list, mate. Don't worry.
Great. So, can you help me get a few more guests on the pod? Have you got any players' phone numbers locked away in your phone?
We don't talk to the players. That's not how it works these days. You're not allowed. They all have to go through the club. So yeah, no, I won't be able to help you there, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, no. Cool. So, do you have any exclusives you can share with us today?
Not today, unfortunately. No, you got me a little bit too late. If you'd spoken to me this morning, I might have had a couple for you. But now the stuff that I've got now is it's already online. The main one today was the Ben Hennigan piece that went up this morning. But yeah, no, there's nothing right now that's imminent. Like I say, that the Hennigan bit went up this morning. Alex did his piece on David Stockdale. That's probably the best we're getting for now. Obviously, did a few bits on Bailey Cadamatari before. That's all wrapped up and done now. And fingers crossed there's a little bit more to come because we don't want to be going into pre-season with no players. You know, got to get a few bits done before Monday.
No, yeah, defo. Defo. So, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you sort of why you decided to do a podcast. Like, what did you? Is it something that you've always sort of fancied doing?
Yeah, because I think because obviously I have with my conditions and stuff with what I've got. I wanted to do it to say to people with these problems that they've got. You know, you're not a learner. You can do anything if you can put your mind to it. And I actually got inspired from James's podcast by listening to that. It made me just feel, oh, well, I really want to set my own one up in it, yeah, and just here we are, really.
That's great, mate. It's really inspirational to see you doing what you're doing, mate. Honestly, like I think you need to keep it up because it's really great to see. And I did want to ask as well, how did you end up getting lumbered with Wednesday? I know it's never really a choice, is it?
No, it's just family, you know. My granddads are into family. My mums are in the, just started going from it. Then my first game was in, think it was 2011, but I wasn't that bothered then because I was only young, but I first probably got started getting into it was in 2015 when I got 17. Sorry, so just after the whole game of the playoffs, that was the first time I got fully into it. I've always been one, but beforehand that I weren't really interested in it. But yeah, so at 2017 with my first proper time going, and I've been going there ever since.
Well, fingers crossed your time sport in Sheffield Wednesday is filled with more happiness than mine's been. It's been years of misery, unfortunately. But no, it's to be honest, mate. I think there's something really special about sporting clubs like this. You know, I think in modern football there is so much said, you know, for people who support your teams who win trophies every year. They challenge for trophies every year. I don't think the fans of, you know, teams like Man City now, you know, Man United fans, you know, they're having an absolute nightmare these days because they haven't won a trophy in a few years. I mean, we've been waiting a hell of a long time. You know, I was 1 year old the last time we won something. And I think it's, like I say, that I think there's something to be said, and a lot of them won't be able to understand the sort of joy that me and you can take from things when a team is as mediocre as we've been for so long. It's great to see the sort of the mood coming back. Have you felt that as well as a fan? Have you felt like the sort of the mood changing under Darren Moore?
Yeah, I feel like since he's come in, he's just brought positivity and stuff back into to the club that were gone under the previous regimes of we had. He's brought that sort of belief back. I think into the club, and just watching his interviews, it's got me. It gets you pumped and ready for it. There was one the other week which the club did, and it just got me buzzing because I think I think he gets the club, which is the most important thing, and he wants to drive the club forward, and he wants to make us, good again, and that's what as fans we all want to see. And I think the building blocks in the are there for to hopefully go on to not only achieve a promotion but to achieve success in the future. But yeah, I'm really optimistic about it, and I can't wait for this forthcoming season and in the future seasons to come.
Yeah, and he's a really lovely man as well, which helps.
Yeah, he's a lovely bloke, and yeah, he's I think I heard someone say with a BFD or something, the big friendly Darren also. Awesome.
Yeah, he's a big bloke. He's a very big friendly bloke.
He's is an absolute you won't want to mess around with him, that's for sure.
Absolutely not.
But well, it's great having you on today, Joe. And once again, thank you for coming on. The next pod will be out in 2 weeks. Why? Because we're all Wednesday away. Thanks again, guys, and I'll speak to you next time. Thank you.